it's great to meet you. My name is Jhanisse. Like my colleagues gladly mentioned, I do bring good news, so please stay hopeful. I am the director of the Freedom Fellowship at the Human Rights Foundation, and I am also from Bolivia, one of the few countries around the world where Bitcoin is fully banned. Now, this may seem like a surprise to you. I know that a lot of countries don't even understand what Bitcoin is, but Bolivia already banned the use of Bitcoin in 2014, which is quite early if you start to think about it. And this, of course, is not a coincidence. The then president Evo Morales was a close ally of, for example, Xi Jinping, and my country has been known locally, because sadly it doesn't make to international news, about our close alliances with countries and dictatorships like Russia, or even the case of Iran. Experts have recently called my country Iran's most successful foreign policy project in Latin America. And this, of course, means that there are people that benefit from the control that the regime exercises over our people. Just this year, because of the control over the US dollar in Bolivia, we are experiencing a lack of dollars. There have been numerous protests on the street. A lot of businesses have been affected. Just a couple days ago, a lot of flights were suspended to Bolivia because airlines don't want to take the Bolivian peso as a currency to sell the flights with. And as a consequence as well, we are experiencing one of the most painful parts of this control, which is the lack of medicine. There are currently a lot of hospitals and a lot of businesses that import medicine into Bolivia that are not able to do this because of the lack of US dollar in the country. Now, may sound extraordinary, and probably most of you, this may be the first time you hear the word Bolivia, but at the same time, I know my country is not very known, but this reality I know is very common. Working as director of the Freedom Fellowship in HRF, I have learned that activists often face situations like this, and many associate activism and the fight for freedom and democracy with fighting for our rights and protesting, but actually a lot of this work, as you probably heard, also has to do with bringing food to political prisoners, bringing medicines to those that have been wounded in police repression. There is a lot of humanitarian work that is also part of this work. And when you don't have access to things as simple as a stable currency or a bank account, it's impossible to do this. And if you cannot secure food or safety or health for your people, it's difficult to mobilize them. In the Freedom Fellowship in HRF, and here come the good news, we learned that all of these challenges that are around the work of doing nonviolent activism require a lot of help. And it can't just be one type of help where you learn about conflict resolution, taking a master's in a university, but in reality, you need specialized help for the circumstances that each of these activists are going through. So we created the Freedom Fellowship, which is a one-year program. This year, we have 15 activists that are working inside authoritarian regimes, and they have mentors for an entire year. We give them mentorship in many different areas, making sure that we cater to each of their needs. And we have mentors for them on nonviolence and movement building, digital security, leadership, mental health, public speaking, many different areas that intersect here. And obviously, this also includes the use of Bitcoin. While we work with the fellows, we have the mentors traveling with them to different countries so that they can have in-person mentorship. We also work with them online, which is why the digital security aspect is extremely important. And we have had the joy to have a lot of you beautiful people in this audience supporting us. Just this year, we took them to, you probably recognize some faces here, to block offices. We have been able to connect fellows with different developers who are working on different wallets so they can understand what the challenges and the needs are for the type of work that we are doing. And I want to mention a couple of them to you so you keep them in mind. Some minor challenges are, for example, internet access. Some dictators are known to shut down the internet because they often have full control of the internet in their countries. The language in which the information is being shared. I know that there are wonderful people in the room that are working on educating people on Bitcoin and using different languages to do so, but it remains a barrier, especially when you have populations like in my country that speak a lot of indigenous languages, and we still haven't seen much content in these languages. And of course, NGO accountants being scared of cryptocurrencies, there's still a bridge we need to cross there, and lack of platforms to find BTC donors, which is a challenge in and of itself. But the main ones that I actually wanted to highlight today are, and I'll stick to two of these. One is education, because I think as much as we are doing a lot of effort to educate people about Bitcoin, one thing we have to understand is that if we don't teach it with very easy, useful cases, especially for those that probably are working under an already challenging environment, it's going to be difficult to cross these bridges. For me, it can be easy to learn here from all of you because I have you in the room and we're spending a lot of time together, but I don't know if it will be as easy to pass this information and this knowledge to people that don't often have internet access, people that don't have an Android or an Apple phone, to people that are facing different challenges and that need to work day by day to bring food to their table. So we need to figure out ways in which we can be more accessible. And also that brings me to creating more networks in country. I think a lot of this learning happens peer-to-peer. This is also how activism is taught. And the best way to do that is through community. But in countries where you're already persecuted or where Bitcoin is already illegal, it's not going to be easy to go on Twitter and say, hey, do you want to have a Bitcoin meetup? That's going to mean, hey, you want to go to jail with me? So we need to figure out ways in which, without doing this and putting people at risk, we can be more friendly and more open and have a language that can allow more people to feel confident to come and work with us. And likewise, security. One thing that I've been able to talk to people in the room, and I think it's important to keep this in mind, for activists that are in high-risk situation, messages that auto-delete are absolutely necessary. Have some barriers so that you can put in a code so that the app can hide itself if your phone is taken from you is also necessary. So some of these little perks that can be added to already existing software could be extremely useful for the work that we are doing. And finally, I really, really encourage us to reach out to the activists. You have them here. If you are not currently at the Oslo Freedom Forum and are watching this transmission, contact the Human Rights Foundation. We have a big network all around the world. We would always be happy to facilitate meetings between activists and people working on the Bitcoin space. But remember, don't be shy. It seems sometimes that it takes a lot of courage to talk to people that you don't know, but if there are people willing to go to jail in order to defend their rights, I'm sure you can sum up some of the courage and talk to the people that can really, really, really benefit from your work. Thank you.